too small, I got big dreams.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Pun Fun, where we have fun with the puns. My name is Ryan, and we're going to check out episode 5 of Marvel series What If. If you have not yet seen episode 5 of Marvel series What If, big spoiler alerts ahead. So let's get into it. Alright, if you're new to this channel, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, but also the notification bell. This way, when we have really cool comic book content, you'll be first to know about it. That also includes when we have our guest comic book creators on our show. So, talking about comic books, we're also going to talk about the comic books that inspired this episode. So, Marvel Zombies. There's Marvel Zombies 1, 2, and also The Return. We're going to take a deeper look within Marvel Zombies 2, whereas Marvel Zombies 1, that's quite a tongue twister, was more of a premise and kind of an introduction of what this whole thing's about. So anyways, we'll get into that. We're also going to take a look at the episode itself, the Easter eggs that are in there, some that are actually out of Marvel's properties. So for example, schools with wizards and kids, you know. We're also going to talk about other properties, like for example, this like badass chick who uses stakes and spikes and basically angels. But yeah, let's also talk about the ending that we see, because the comic book source actually gives us a lot of direction, meaning even if there isn't a part 2, so we don't see exactly what happens to that universe, but we do see a hero maybe plucked away from that universe, like for example Spider-Man with the sorcerer's cape. So in this case, if he's like Spidey sorcerer or whatever, if he gets plucked away for whatever reason and that universe implodes or carries on and destroys itself, it doesn't matter, because we will know what happened via the comic books. That's how really cool and important these books are. Anyways, that being said, let's get into it. So in the Marvel Zombies comics, comic 1, the first series is all about the introduction. We kind of get how they get infected. We don't know how. It's only in The Return we understand exactly how. So another watcher, not this watcher, grabs an infected being and throws them into this universe, and it caused basically the infection. What's cool to note is that these zombies aren't like The Walking Dead, meaning that they're not mindless to some degree. It's more like I Am Legend, meaning that they're all about keeping the community alive to some degree and kind of like all about survival, but not just mindlessly eating stuff, although their instinct will kick in, but their psychological part is still there, so their mind is still there. That's how they're able to use their weapons and everything in between. That being said, we are taken 40 years later, which is the Marvel Zombies 2. Marvel Zombies 2 basically is, Iron Man, Hulk, Spider-Man, and a bunch of the others. They basically are rationing what they have left. They can't eat each other, so zombies are friends, not food, because it doesn't satisfy the hunger. So the hunger is that zombie-like instinct to kill and to feed and to basically spread. And if they don't get that satisfied, they actually have this immense pain. So they become addicted because they don't want that kind of pain, kind of like painkillers, if you will. And they eat to basically, feel good and also feel alive and I guess survive. That being said, the Hulk is another breed, meaning that while the others are still able to control their powers to some degree, or their mind to some degree, the Hulk is really more of an animal. He actually goes and blows up Thanos' head, just so he says, you know what? Well, actually, he's pretty clever at the same time. He's like, not only do I get my ration, but I also get that guy's ration too. Then we also see the zombie who's like, oh, well, since Thanos is there, maybe we can eat him. And that's where we realize it doesn't sit well. It doesn't feed the hunger. So even if they're eating, they're not actually feeding the hunger. So anyways, that being said, they want to find fresh meat. The only way they can find fresh meat is if they find a portal, and this takes them to a universe with a flock of fresh meat everywhere, and they're able to feed that hunger. Now, they figure out that if they go to Wakanda, that is a place that would have the technology, or Pym would have the technology, and they'd be able to make that voyage. That being said, Wakanda is a safe haven, I guess, in every universe. I guess it's like almost an absolute point that Wakanda stays a safe haven. The way that it's built, it's made, and also the shields and technology it has. But yeah, this is 40 years later. They're getting pretty old, meaning that, certain organs don't work the way they should be, and it's kind of harder to procreate because there's also, the lack of a lot of things in between. We're not going to go, super graphic or get all biological on you. But this being said, the human race is going towards extinction, meaning that they can't continue that, they can't breed basically. that also being said, T'Challa is king on Wakanda, and people are growing wary. They actually want to kill him, and he actually does get assassinated. Well, somebody tries to kill him, and he's saved by Hope. So Hope Van Dyke is a zombie who is able to control the hunger, because she understands that there's a part that is instinct, there's a part that's mental. She's able to control the mental part and go beyond the instinct part, which is very cool because in the show itself we see that she's a very focal point in the What If series. Even in the past episodes, Hope comes up often enough. So anyways, let's move forward. She basically bites T'Challa in order to save him, turns him into a zombie so this way he doesn't die out or bleed out. Then he basically sits in this cell with Hope. She basically teaches her way and makes him understand what's going on. So there is a way to have these zombies controlled. Basically they understand that once they get past that instinct and urge, they're able to actually be human, if you will. Again, they will be hungry, they will be restless, but they're still able to be focused and move forward with their life. So we also get to see Hawkeye, who is basically just a head in this like robotic skeleton type or exoskeleton suit basically, and then we also see it in the series where you see Ant-Man, so Scott, being just a head in the cloche basically in the jar. Very reminiscent of the Futurama take on what people that were brought back to life, or people that instead of dying were kept or preserved basically, so they preserved their brain in their head basically, which I thought was very funny. Definitely a great homage to that. And just like in the series, the Hulk actually sacrifices himself. So while all the other zombies come to an understanding of how they're able to control their hunger and basically move forward with their lives, or life to some degree, the Hulk can't. He understands that he can't. There's more of an animal instinct or different, wild animal inside him. So basically, he turns back into Banner and he basically sacrifices himself and obliterates himself and says, look, I can't remember exactly how he kills himself, but he does. And yeah, it's kind of like in this series here where the Hulk, stays back and sacrifices himself for the good of mankind and in this series. So we have Thanos in this, grand debate about when he snaps, basically, when he, wipes up half the universe in Infinity War. People were saying, hey, why didn't he just, snap a bigger universe or more resources? And we actually see this debate in another What If episode where Thanos was, questioned about all of his, ethics and also about the different outcomes. But still in his mind, he's like, no, if I wipe out half, there's still going to be, the resources that are there. And in this case, a zombie Thanos would basically just snap more people, back, or double the amount of people back to basically feed the hunger. And then at some point, someone's going to have to, be the hero. And that's kind of what happens in the comic books. Even though they wanted to go and find a portal to a universe to basically annihilate them and kill them, they came to their minds and kind of figured out, like, no, we can't do this. We can't go and destroy another universe. Like, we need to be the heroes that we once, set our minds to. So at some point, they may turn against Thanos. And Thanos himself might, as much as, we might think he's a villain and he's greedy, he was actually doing it out of goodness to some extent, or to create balance. So maybe it's going to catch up to him and, he's going to flip as well. So again, all of this is going to melt down and, drift away, and it doesn't matter anymore. The zombie verse will be contained, and I guess either they'll kill ourselves or they'll try to figure a way to, be vegans or something. But for that moment being, we don't know what's going to come up. I mean, I really do hope there is a part 2 to this. I mean, this episode was wild. It was funny. A lot of homages to a lot of horror genre, which I love as well, especially with Halloween creeping up. I know all you, pumpkin spice latte lovers are going crazy for those stuff already. Anyways, that being said, we're going to take a look at the episode itself. So just very briefly, from the get-go, we see Hulk coming through, the portal as we've seen through Infinity War, and Doctor Strange is in there to greet him. Basically, his hand he's been zombified as everybody else. And I mean, you already seen the episode, so I'm not going to go in full details with that. What I am going to talk about is actually the rules. So Peter comes up, he has his home video thing that he does in the movies. Here he does it as well. So these are like the rules to live by if you don't want to get zombified. Basically, it's very reminiscent to Zombieland, where they kind of created these rules in the way that you can survive a zombie attack. What's really cool is that in the opening, you actually see him with the zombie going like across the screen, which is definitely an homage to Mutant Enemy. So if you've watched the Buffy series, for example, at the very end, at the end credit, you see this zombie monster type thing going across the screen. So I thought that was a beautiful homage to that. So now we have our heroes up in the hide, if you will, kind of like not to Jurassic Park, where the dinosaurs or zombies in this case can't get them, which is very clever. And then they've really utilized whatever it is that they could scrap up together. So in this case, it was a Hulkbuster hand that kind of projected the news and what's going on, and using it as a screen, if you will. What's really cool, going down in the episode, is that we see Spider-Man pulling on a train rather than trying to stop the train. So in a lot of in all of the series, we've always seen him try to pull or stop basically something from going. In this case, he's actually trying to pull forward something, which I thought was cool. And even like the rails, you saw him pushing against, whereas like the other one, he was doing the same motion, but it was basically braking as he was trying to make the train stop. So that was definitely a cool homage. We also get a scene where the Cape wraps him up, brings him in, and he says, "Oh man, this is very cool, but I don't think this is the right fit for me." And Hope actually tells him, "Well, maybe you'll grow into it." And this is definitely an homage to when we see Stan Lee in the Spider-Verse. So Stan Lee has his little store. He's selling out Spider-Man costumes. And when Miles Morales comes up to him and says, "Oh, I don't know if it'll fit, or what happens if it doesn't fit," and he reassures him that, "Oh, don't worry, it will fit eventually," meaning that he will one day, take the helm of, being Spider-Man. So this is a direct homage for sure, which was very cool. Even gave me goosebumps. I think I kind of gave myself goosebumps again. But anyways, moving forward, we also get to see Bucky on a train. I don't know what's with Cap and Bucky. They should definitely just stay off trains altogether. But in this case, they do get a clash together, having Bucky actually hold up the shield, use it, and slap chop. Basically, Captain was, great. I mean, I enjoy Cap as much as anybody else, but having him be sliced in half the way he did, that was hilarious. Also seeing Captain Carter be, tossed around like a rag doll, that was uncalled for. Anyways, that being said, Hope actually is the, beacon of hope. She's all about telling Spider-Man, like, hey, how do you stay happy? And making him remember why is he doing this and how is he pushing forward. Also giving everybody else around her, that aura of hope. She also brings them to freedom in a sense that she actually takes them literally while she's turning into a zombie, and brings them to a place, a better place, while kicking around some zombies and getting, I guess, wiped out by the zombies around her, which was unfortunate, but very cool to see that. I was really hoping to see a giant man, or in this case, Hope be, a giant zombie, which was definitely cool. But the fact that when they were able to escape, she actually grabs on to the quad jet, so the Quinjet, just the same way as Giant Man grabs on to Warhammer in Civil War, War Machine in Civil War. So definitely a cool callback. And then when the ship actually goes ahead and flies away, she just chucks this like zombie at it. I mean, the what if would have been, what if that zombie actually made it into one of the propellers and they landed and died? I mean, that would have been just insane. But in this case, it just like hits it and ricochets off and flies into oblivion. So before all that, obviously we get to see Scott with all of his zombie puns. Big shout out to Scott, big shout out to Ant-Man. Hey, we're all about it, the puns. So give it a hand to Mr. Scott. He's definitely ahead of the game. Yeah. So he says dad puns, but we definitely know it's zombie puns. That being said, they're also greeted by Wanda. So basically Wanda comes out, Vision explains what he did, basically to contain this crazy chaotic magic beast. And what was cool is that even when she was being shot, I don't know why, Bucky felt it that he was able to stop it with just bullets. What was cool is that she was able to stop the bullets just like her son did in WandaVision. Wiccan did it, basically, not her, sorry. When he was being shot at while Monica Rambeau was there. So yeah, this is just, crazy. There's definitely a lot more Easter eggs within this episode. But yeah, even if there isn't a part 2, and I'm going to wrap things up, basically, I'm just excited. And I think what's going to happen is where this is going to go is that we're going to have these universes that are basically going to die out, or all these multiverses that are meant to basically die. Heroes from within those universes are going to be plucked in order to save maybe one universe, or maybe be brought to an absolute point, not absolute point, but a void point, if you will, to restart or rehash or to, fight for those universes once again. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to go with. And this has just been crazy, and I can't wait to see what's coming up next. Just like any of the Marvel series, every episode just gets better and sweeter as it goes. So I'm definitely excited, and I can't wait to cover it with you guys. So for the meanwhile, I'm going to leave you guys with that. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to hit that like button as well. I know I inverted that, but it doesn't matter as long as you get the message across. We're all about supporting each other, and yeah, man, can't wait to see you guys later. Take it easy. Peace.